At this time, I want to turn my attention to some of the very evil takes I've heard some prominent folks making about Israelis. Here is one such example of a dude, and this guy is very popular. He has 1.6 million subscribers. He is a very popular political YouTuber.
I can't see anything.
Called Second Thought. Sorry, this.
Oh yeah, he's my friend. I like JT.
All right. Well then, you tell me what you think about this. He said, "What's going on in occupied Palestine is unprecedented. No doubt we'll have wall."
Is it on? Wait, hold on. I don't have my glasses today.
Yeah, it's just the.
I'm not gonna be able to see it. I just had to click on it so I can read it. But go ahead. You can read it out. You can read it out loud.
Here, you know what? Let me show you this.
Is it on the Google Doc?
Let me show you the video first. This will be easier for you. He basically says the same thing here. So here he is doing a podcast.
I've been on. I think is this Deprogram? I've been on the podcast.
I don't know what it's called, but this is just a clip from yes.
Yeah.
So here's his take on this, and let's listen.
Thank you very much. He says, did the Palestinians actually take civilian hostage, or is that fake news? I don't care.
Yeah, the occupiers are not civilian.
First of all, just straight off the bat,
the person that's talking is Hakim. He is a doctor in Iraq, and of course, just to put this into a decent frame of reference for those who are unfamiliar, I think he will probably have a much more ruthless how he feels about American forces and what they've done to his
This
home
I'm pretty sure
family.
is all Second Thought.
No, the one who said...
No, I know. But
yeah.
Here.
Thank you very much. He says, did the Palestinians actually take civilian hostage, or is that fake news?
So wait, who's talking there?
That's Hakim.
Okay, so Second Thought's the one who says, I don't care, and laughs.
Wait, say it.
I don't care.
Yeah.
No, that's Hakim.
I don't.
The guy with the accent.
Yeah, that's Hakim. Second Thought is an American.
So Second Thought is the guy who's asking the question.
No, Hakim is the one who read it. He's reading it from chat. It's a super chat.
Did the Palestinians actually take civilian hostage, or is that fake news? I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he agrees with him, so let's just fucking listen
go
to
on.
the clip.
The occupiers
are
not civilians. That is what it comes down to. Like imagine like if
Sorry, go on.
Germany, let's say Germany to be non-controversial.
That's him, right?
I think, I think so.
Controversial.
And not that it matters.
United States, and they said, you know what, Cincinnati, Ohio is our ancestral home, and everyone knows that's blatantly false, but they take your home, they murder your grandma, they bulldoze like your neighbor's house. Are those people civilians there? No, they're occupiers, and those are criminals. That is, there are no civilians there. In the
so according to Second Thought, he says that every Israeli is an occupier, and there are no citizens there. In response to decapitating babies, which I can now say.
There are two different schools of thought here. So, the first is,
and the take in the comments is based.
Yeah, of course. The 1948ers believe that there's two different schools of thought within, I would say, anti-Zionism. Those who believe that all matter of settlements that were propped up even in the inception of the Israeli nation state are unjustifiable, and that they are settlers. So they extend beyond your perspective that you agree with, which is because West Bank is a settler occupation.
I think it's an extremely evil thing to say, what he said.
Let me ask you this.
No. What do you think? What he said is evil?
I think it is, one, unproductive, and two, it does not meet the realities on the ground, and it's not a viable solution.
Calling, just to be clear, calling babies.
No, of course not.
Settlers.
Of course.
And they're not even living.
They're not.
Okay,
yeah,
good.
they're babies.
So I just want to say, I have a question that this guy's a fucking evil piece of shit for saying that.
Can I ask you a question?
Can I finish? Let me finish the video.
Okay, we'll finish this, but I do have a question for you, because I think you're going to agree with something I'm about to say.
Yes. Let's just finish it and then we'll talk.
Invaded the United States, and they said, you know what, Cincinnati, Ohio is our ancestral home, and everyone knows that's blatantly false, but they take your home, they murder your grandma, they bulldoze like your neighbor's house. Are those people civilians there? No, they're occupiers, and those are criminals. That is, there are no civilians there in the illegal military occupation.
Yeah. So that's number one.
I mean, that's so callous. It's kind of hard to fucking even believe just how flippant he can be about calling babies militants that are deserving to be killed.
Very beautifully put. Number two, much more importantly, the track record of Palestinians has been 1,000 times better than that of the Israeli occupation, despite the fact that Israeli occupation does not need to brutalize. They already have all the power, but they still choose to do far worse. The worst that will happen to a person in Palestinian custody is that they're going to be like auctioned off for a prisoner swap, which is the historic track record also.
And of course,
he's not wrong about this. This is the original goal for the military, the excursion. At least if you believe.
I'm not exactly having a ton of faith in the dudes that decapitated babies to treating their POWs really well.
Well,
I think that's kind of a psychotic take too, where it's like it's like, why are you trying to give Hamas the benefit of the doubt on this one? You know, being like, oh, they treat their prisoners fucking awesome. You know, let's not try to do that.
Okay. So,
but anyway, and that combined with just the callous, the laughter.
Listen.
Hold on.
Did the Palestinians actually take civilian hostage, or is that fake news? I don't care.
Okay.
And they're laughing about it.
Let me pose a question for you.
Go ahead.
So you have said that those in the West Bank are fundamentalist settlers. Are you familiar with the international law surrounding the justifiable forms of violence towards?
So first of all,
terror.
I don't put any stock, frankly, in whatever these quote international laws are.
Yeah, it's.
But no, I'm not familiar with whatever that says.
Technically, the reason why the IDF has to exist in the West Bank and behave in the oppressive manner that they behave is because Palestinians, and this is going to sound very radical and possibly very violent, but this is a matter of law, and maybe even if you agree with this, a matter of morality. Palestinians have the legal ground to violently seize back their own homes from the settlers. This is a reality, and that is precisely the reason why they have to exist under endless occupation in the West Bank.
You know what? And that's why I say, if it was settlers, that would be a lot more understandable. Yeah. But let's not obfuscate, okay? I understand what you're saying, but this dude just called babies militants.
No, I understand. And there are baby settlers as well. But there are baby settlers as well. There are babies in the settlements.
But the babies that killed were not.
I know.
Okay, so
here's now that we established that. Yeah. No, hold on. Now that we established that, the other school of thought here is that all matter of Israelis living on Israel proper are they're also doing the exact same thing in the eyes of some. I do not agree with that because I don't think that is a reasonable solution, and it's not realistic anyway, and that only will lead to the complete evisceration of Palestinians, and far-right Israelis will use that to continuously radicalize just regular Israeli citizens in their endless bombing campaigns and ethnic cleansing campaigns and the brutal occupation. This is why many thinkers, I believe even including Norm Finkelstein, who has dedicated his entire life to speaking the truth about Israel's occupation, and Noam Chomsky and many others, even Edward Said, as I brought up earlier, believe that the de-Zionification or the displacement of Israelis from Israel proper, Jewish Israelis, is it's not justifiable and it's not realistic. It's more so a single state solution, at least one that I advocate for, because I know a lot of people advocate for a two-state solution. I'm a one-stater, which
was there a question?
What?
I thought you said I have a question for you at the beginning of that.
I gave you the question. You already answered it. You said I know your position on like violently seizing back your land from settler occupiers.
Yeah, that's not what they did though. And that's
these
who
guys.
he's talking
No, these guys, or at least I assume Second Thought has the perspective that all matter of Israel is all matter of Israel proper is considered settler occupation.
And he's evil for thinking that. He is. Right after babies were murdered and decapitated.
All
I
I'm
can say
saying,
that
it's
now.
not 19
Let me read this further.
If he said this in 1949, I'd have a different opinion on the matter.
Let me
you can't say
read
this in 2023. I agree.
Let me read this. Thank you for agreeing. What's going on in occupied Palestine is unprecedented. No doubt we'll have wall-to-wall coverage of atrocities now that it's the genocidal settlers on the receiving end. This is what liberation struggle looks like. Solidarity and victory to the Palestinian people. Again, just to put the timing in frame here, he says, no doubt we'll have wall-to-wall coverage when Israel responds. This is while bodies are still bleeding.
Well, I guess the second part did come true. He wasn't wrong on the second part of that conversation, at least. Okay.
What, solidarity and victory to the which part are you referring to?
Wall-to-wall coverage when Israel responds.
Right, but like, and this is my problem. So as the bodies are fucking still bleeding out, and he's saying this is what liberation struggle looks like: beheading babies, burning families alive, solidarity and victory to the Palestinian people. This is pro-Hamas. This man is supporting Hamas.
I think his position is that people that have been trapped, and I can't speak for him, but you can if you want to talk to him. I'm sure he would be willing to come on and speak his piece. I've already mentioned that I don't find this to be particularly helpful or productive as far as this conversation goes, not because like I am tasked with defending the positions of other people or even criticize them. It's more so that we know what is currently happening. We are now 3-4 days removed from October 7, and we know what the retaliation looked like, and we know what the occupation has looked like every single day.
That was an obvious reaction.
So that's why I'm saying,
again,
that's what I'm saying. Like a
timing matters.
A YouTuber with
hold on, this guy's influential.
No, I know, Ethan, but his influence is nothing in comparison to the multi-billion-dollar media
I
operation.
just want to call this guy out. That's what I want to do.
You can call him out.
I just spent
and you can ask
2.5 hours calling out Israel. So now this guy, Second Thought, he's supporting Hamas. He is pro Hamas. That's what
call him out.
Hold on.
Okay.
Solidarity and victory to the Palestinian people.
Oops.
Again, the timing that I keep mentioning as bodies are being counted is pro Hamas. That's it. There's no other way to interpret that, and it's evil. He continues, imagine someone comes to your town, murders your neighbors, kicks you out of the home your family lived in for generations, and relocates you. Are those occupiers civilians? No, they're criminals and accomplices in genocide. Once again, referring to babies who were decapitated. At least, but again, that doesn't matter. 40 babies died at this kibbutz. Okay, kids also, children, families. Peaceful kibbutzim. Many of them actually pro-Palestine advocates. He said that they are criminals and accomplices.
Okay, we don't know if they were pro-Palestine advocates. Let's not go that far.
What? That's positive. That's what you think that none of the people killed were.
I mean, I don't know that. I'm saying, like, I don't know why you're adding that. It doesn't even matter because ultimately,
it does matter.
They shouldn't die.
Okay, right.
My position.
But it does make it especially ironic when he's calling them accomplices in genocide when their only crime is being born somewhere.
No, I agree with you.
It's evil. I just want to say that.
I agree with you.
Okay, good.
I don't disagree with you on this at all.
Thank you.
But that's not my. But.
Bro, I'm just calling it out.
Okay,
this guy's a fucking. He's a scumbag.
If you want, you have the opportunity. You can speak to him if you want on this particular issue.
I'll think about it. But
so I don't know why you're.
I'm not demanding you respond, but I simply, as a matter of doing this show, want to call out the people that disgusted me, because again, I hear this all the time. People go, "Oh, really? Well, show me an example."
I know, but
here's one.
No, there are examples of this. It's just entirely and utterly inconsequential, and I 100% stand by that.
It's not. He's an influential man. When you're expressing these kinds of...
Okay, let's walk through that. What do you think is the negative consequence of this? Do you think that people are going to see this and go, oh, I should go to a
So should I not care about it?
I think that if you look at the reality, and I know you recognize it, a YouTuber saying this kind of thing and spending any time or any effort on this, when your moral position is clear, when mine is clear, spending any time on this whatsoever to be like, we got to clean up our own homes here, deviates from the actual message that must be unflinching. The message is that these violent means of ensuring that the occupation continues is going to inevitably lead to more violence that Israelis will be subjected to as well.
Normalizing murdering civilians.
He has no capacity to do so.
And the result of that,
I think a better argument would be that it's anti-Semitic. You could say that, well, not what he's saying, but that it could lead to people listening to what he's saying and then think that all Jews are responsible.
Okay,
and
so
think
it's
that
consequential. The stuff that he's saying matters.
That would
But my point is, if I can finish my point, is that this guy who proposes to be this Palestinian advocate, he is encouraging the murder of civilians, babies, etc., in an effort to free the occupation.
I don't think he's encouraging it. I think he's justifying it.
No. No, he says, hold on. No, he says this is what liberation struggle looks like. What's the liberation struggle about murdering families? But I wanted to say this. This guy who purports to care so much about Palestine, his advocating for killing civilians, the result of that is going to be basically what's happening in Gaza now, which is that Israel, which is, again, genocidal, violent, psychopathic people in power are, it's like the result of this is Netanyahu gets more power and consolidates when people already fucking hated him. The international community that was giving a lot of general support for Palestine and Gaza and all that.
No,
there was a lot of I know you're going to debate me. There was a lot of sentiment, especially in Europe, for being like, "Yo, we need to,
Ethan,
we need to look at this."
The entire planet, the entire planet has regularly condemned the illegal occupation time and time again. You know who has said "fuck off" to that? The United States of America and Israel, and sometimes Ukraine. So. It does not matter what the condemnation even looks like. It doesn't change anything. Palestinians...
Let me finish my point.
Okay, go ahead. Finish your point.
The point is that the result of this, these people are pro-Palestine. The result of this is literally the opposite of any possible intended consequence, which is Netanyahu gets more power internationally and domestically when people already fucking hated him and his government. The Western countries are basically backing up Israel's genocide and encouraging it and sanctioning it. The Gazans are now being bombed. Their food, power, water is being shut off, although that happens regardless at times.
Always.
But so
if the argument here is that if Second Thought had not tweeted this, or if other YouTubers and other people on Twitter had not tweeted their celebrations, that do we think that the world's perspective would be different on Israel's bombing campaign currently? If you think that, legitimately, if not a single person had tweeted this, do you think that the situation on the ground would be different?
Does it matter to you that this might be anti-Semitic?
Oh, wait, what do you mean?
Well, you're saying you're treating this as if it doesn't matter at all, and that's
I don't think it matters at all.
And you're not Israeli.
Yeah, I don't think it matters at all in the grand scheme of things whatsoever.
So you're saying
because the question I
hold on. Your point.
Answer my question,
Go ahead.
please. Let's say JT and Hakim or any number of different Twitter users had not been so callous in their indifference for civilian casualties in this situation. Not a single person had tweeted anything. do you think that there would be more support for Palestinians?
Obviously not, but listen to
So
what
why
I'm
are we
saying,
having this
bro.
conversation then?
He's influencing people. He's not. Is this tweet going to change what's happening on the ground? No.
No, of course
But these
not.
opinions being broadcast by respected people in politics is going to contribute to fucking more violence. He is
In what regard?
because people
Like, do
who
you think
sympathize
Palestinians
with him are gonna be like, yeah. I mean, he's basically.
Do you think
He's
Palestinians are going to see JT's
No, the
tweets?
acceptance of people, and that's fucking anti-Semitism, bro.
The acceptance of what people?
The acceptance of people internationally who look at this guy saying, "Let's fucking kill all the Israelis because they're all occupiers."
I don't agree with that take. That he's making.
I'm being
here.
hyperbolic, but
Yeah.
it's not that far from what he said. I mean, he's called every Israeli an accomplice in genocide
it's
and
like-
an occupier.
It's like freaking out. It's like freaking out
Hold
when the Iranian leadership like fucking burns an American flag or whatever and be like, they hate us. They're gonna come for us. They're gonna kill all of us. Like there is no conversation to be had here that is like serious because,
Bro, I just disagree. I mean, you were telling me today how much influence I have. Why does it not matter that people use this
the
kind
influence
of
you
fucking language?
have is upon
This
your
man has
fan
influence.
base. The influence you have
And
upon
that
your
doesn't matter?
The influence you have upon your fan base was specifically in regards to okay. Let me dial it back real quick and explain something. This is a basic fundamental that I believe in. I believe that our culture and our attitudes are entirely reflected on the material realities on the ground, that our material realities guide our culture and our attitude towards certain things. I don't believe that you can move the needle in the other direction. I don't believe that you can tweet a revolution. As a matter of fact, many people laugh at hashtag activism and whatnot, but I do think that it goes in the opposite direction. I do think that you can't make a super sweet YouTube video that ends up destroying the white supremacist court structure in the United States of America. However, I do believe that if you go in the other direction and promote more of the state-sponsored violence, you absolutely can motivate people to feel more justified and demand more from their governments,
Which is what he's
and to
doing,
do this.
right?
So if and only if there was a real, legitimate, well-established military machine that was capable of going and fucking killing every single Israeli citizen, like you said, he is justifying for, this would be as damaging as the average Israeli defense of the Israeli occupying force. Only then.
I just find it odd
And
that you
even
have
then,
to do the
and
whole
even
what about
then,
thing about this.
But Ethan, even then, there is no comparison because guess what? What he is saying as a singular YouTuber is represented by our elected leaders, is represented in the reality on the ground, in the way that Israel is continuing its occupation and its bombing campaign in Gaza, which is why I think it is utterly and entirely a distraction to have assessments, to make assessments over.
Listen, I'm sorry that I care about it. I guess I'm just an emotional fucking idiot.
I'm not
for caring
saying
about
that at all. I perfectly understand why you
But
care about
it's important to me.
I understand why you care about it.
I disagree with that premise.
I think you should have him on
but
to
clearly
ask
you
him.
disagree with
I think you should
his
have him
premise.
on to ask him. Because I personally disagree with this assessment.
Yeah.
And I think it's unhelpful and unproductive overall.
Yeah, okay.
But
we agree. But I think he's evil.
But
He's
I
a
also
scumbag.
will point once again that what he's saying here is the Israeli policy in the other direction. It has been the reality in the other direction.
Which is not good.
I know you don't agree with that, but I'm saying because you don't agree with that, it is.
This is the main problem I'm having with all this stuff.
I know that's the main problem you have with all this stuff, and that's why I'm trying to say it's not even remotely a point of contention, and it's not even remotely equivalent, and it's not even remotely.
I don't think people should be
to have this conversation.
This guy's way too comfortable just going out there publicly and being applauded.
What do you think is the solution here? What should be done with him for saying that?
What criticism doesn't stand on its own? Why do I need to be punitive?
No, you said you're upset. I mean, I think you're well within your right to be.
I'm criticizing.
Critical.
I'm criticizing. I'm not asking for.
I think you're well within your right to be critical of it.
Yeah.
Like I said, though, I will reaffirm my position that if he was saying this about Palestinians instead of Israelis, that would not only be not condemned at all by a singular person, that would be the specific policy position of the entirety of the Western world.
Israelis and the Western world are monsters, then we shouldn't care when the opposite people are monsters, because it
not
doesn't
necessarily.
matter.
I think because
seems like what you're arguing.
No, that's not what I'm saying, because I don't agree with what he's saying regardless.
But however, why does it matter then? However, if we're just taking this comment and I just want to point it out for the evil it is, like, why does it? I just don't understand the need. I told you this already.
Any issue to be taken up with Westerners and the optics of like what they are saying should be talked about with respect to the impact that those words will have. Which is why I said, if you think that this is genuinely going to be impactful, then that's another conversation to have.
I think it matters. I mean, I wouldn't say it doesn't matter, but anyway, clearly you don't agree, and that's just my opinion on the guy.
I do not agree with his assessment. Yes.
And so let's see. Moving on to. I mean, we've talked about...
But I think you would agree with his assessment if he was talking about settlers in the West Bank, though, right?
I mean, I wouldn't go so far as to say that, you know...
Kill babies in the West Bank? Of course you wouldn't say that.
But, like, theoretically, I don't think settlers are civilians.
They're not. They are not recognized as civilians by international law. They are technically considered terrorists.
That's an important distinction that he's not making.
The distinction that he is making is that he's going by, he's talking like it's 1952. You know what I mean? That's the difference. And it's not 1952. You can't make this assessment.
Thank you. You know, we were talking about, let's see. Man, this video's sick, dude. Again, I know you're going to say this is just like a small rally that happened, but there is a certain level of comfort. I mean, this doesn't seem like a small rally, frankly. There's a lot of people out here, and they're just out there. And here's the speech that one of the organizers has to say about the Hamas. Oh, you haven't seen this?
I can't see. Well, first of all, I can't see anything because I don't have my fucking goddamn glasses. I forgot.
I full screen it.
But also, secondly, I mean, yeah, I don't know what the fuck this is going to be.
Well, it's crazy. It's crazed. But listen to what this guy has to say.
Broke through the fence. They put the F-35 on.
What is he saying?
You'll hear it. It's a little fuzzy right now. Here.
And as you might have seen, there was some sort of rave or desert party where they were having a great time until the resistance came in electrified hang gliders and took at least several dozen hipsters. But I'm sure they're doing very fine despite what the New York Post says. But nobody had seen this coming. Every Israeli official said it was a complete surprise. And I think we have to sit with that. Because as of just a couple days ago, they said that surprise wasn't possible. They said we control every inch of Palestine.
No, they don't!
They said we have walls, we have cameras, yes, we have traitors too, and there's nothing they can do that we won't see of what we do. They were so arrogant. But just less than 24 hours ago on the land, from the sea, and from the air, the people of the Gaza Strip our people from Gaza, our young people are riding their bikes through these settlements where they were told they could never go because of apartheid. Our farmers, the farmers of Gaza, you know they say that they can't even have tractors. They say that's terrorist equipment. Well, unfortunately for them, the tractors of these various so-called kibbutz settlements have been liberated and taken back to the farms.
I mean, that's insane, right?
I don't even... Yeah, okay. Like...
Okay.
I'm
just criticizing people. You don't have to comment if you're not comfortable about it.
Okay. I mean, I have no...
I mean, he was just like, I don't like this shit. Okay. It bothers me.
I understand why... I understand
why you don't like it. He goes, the electrified hang gliding heroes flew in and killed a bunch of hipsters partying. They were having so much fun at the party till these fucking heroes showed up and mass murdered everyone. Oh, and we liberated the kibbutz, by the way. Everyone's cheering. We liberated the kibbutz, a.k.a. beheading babies.
I will once again present to you the same exact question. If this rally was not held and if he had not said those things that I do not agree with, do you think that there would be a difference in the analysis and the way that Palestinian people are treated? Do you think that there would be a difference in the bombing campaign that's going on? Or do you think that this is, once again, the violent sentiment of those who are siding with the oppressed that is ultimately utterly and entirely inconsequential?
I'll tell you this.
Because
I know that's fucking evil.
All this does.
I know that.
All this does.
And I have no problem to say it.
All this does is to serve a singular purpose, and that purpose I do not believe you are on board with, but that purpose is cynical. When people go, look at these guys, they're all violent. That is, by design, what mainstream media in America is doing when they constantly, exclusively cover the Palestinian side.
That's not what I've done
specifically
here
about
today.
Like these guys. I know you're not doing that.
I've just spent 2.5 hours talking about.
Even I know.
So I just want to listen. I just want to say this guy's evil. He is. He's a evil dude. There's just, you know what I mean? Like, fuck this guy and fuck all these people. That's just not it, man. But, and once again, this is right after. This is right after it all happened.
Yes.
And we're talking about the hang gliding heroes. I mean, I'm sorry, but it's sick. And I think it needs to be called out. I don't think it's good to normalize this kind of shit.
We should keep calling it out. We should only call this out, which is what many are doing. Whenever there's any mention of, I know you're not.
About us.
I know you're not.
Yeah.
But this is why I'm like, there is not.
I'm calling both out.
There's not a single outlet that ever legitimately shows
I don't belong to those networks.
The ongoing and never-ending plight of Palestinians.
I'm just trying to call
talk
out
about Palestinian activists like this. They show these pieces of footage and go, look how violent these guys are. Look how violent the left is overall. These guys are all leftists. Look at them. They're leftists. They love terror. They love terrorism. And we are talking about this in a country where like there is no, like the guy you brought up, JT, okay, who I disagree with on that front. He has had the Department of Homeland Security visit his home for his for a YouTube video that he wrote. No, not for that. It was a YouTube video that you would agree with if you watched it. It was about the Department of Homeland Security in and of itself. I believe it was something about CIA. Like there is no real legitimate, genuine, and continued support for Palestinians, and there is no legitimate, real, and continued leftist momentum happening.
Excuse me.
Especially one that is like associated with any kind of tangible move on the ground. So that is why it is, frivolous to have this endless back and forth that already is happening all over mainstream media. There's no, especially in America, they don't bring up like Mohammed al-Kurd, whose home was violently seized. They don't have him on to talk about these issues. They just go, look at these crazy leftists.
I don't think listen, I don't think a 30 I don't mean this. I don't think this monologuing is essential to calling this guy evil. That's all.
All right. Are there more wrongs committed by Americans who are speaking on Palestine that we can go through? I'm down to go through more of it if you have more.
This is a massive rally in Sydney, Australia. And again, we bring up the issue of like it's inconsequential. Well, according to this massive rally outside the Sydney Opera House, they're not making a distinction between Israelis and Jews, actually. I'll play it for you. Guess the Jews. etc., etc.
This is the out of everything that you've shown me, this is demonstrably the worst. Like, because this has genuine impact on the ground in whatever nation that we're talking about. That is unequivocally and uncritically anti-Semitic, completely indefensible. No additions to that
Can I
whatsoever.
ask you a question then?
What?
Let's say that one of this...
And that does lead to, I think, furthering anti-Semitic, and it not only is it unproductive, but that does, I think, lead to a real and tangible impact on the ground.
So let me ask you this.
What's up?
A fan of Second Thought who's listened to him dehumanizing Israelis that way, do you think that listening to him might inspire one of those people to be like, hey, I'm going to go join this,
What, Hamas?
Well, no, it's a according to it's a pro-Palestine.
You think a fan of Second Thought's going to see? Okay, let's walk through it. You think a fan of Second Thought's going to see that and be like, I'm going to go to Gaza. I'm going to join Hamas.
That's not what I said. I said he's going to go down to the Upper Sydney at this location and be like, hey, yeah, fuck, let's gas the Jews. Everyone's saying it. Nobody seems to care.
I guess it could happen. Certainly.
Okay.
But once again, this is fucking gross, by the way, 100%. It's just ridiculous. It's disgusting. What I was going to say is, I'm still thinking about a Second Thought YouTube fan being like, I'm going to go rise up in the global jihad and rise up against Israel and purge it.
I understand that.
May Allah guide my weapons.
I understand you think it's silly.
I do.
But again,
I'm
responding to your point about how none of this matters. And I disagree with that premise. I do.
Yeah, that guy.
This is how I'm picturing.
He's like, it's time to do a jihad against Israel and all the Jews.
They're not, yeah, but that wasn't my point.
No,
He's just going to join the rally.
Let's be serious. Let's be serious. You're right. I think that conflations, no matter who's doing it, of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism are very dangerous. And I think that saying anti-Semitism is like fuck the Jews when you're talking specifically at a anti-Israel rally or a pro-Palestine rally is really fucked up, completely unacceptable. And I don't know what else to say about it other than of course I condemn that. That is, there's always people that try to sneak in little anti-Semitic shit in my chat all the goddamn time. Whenever I'm talking about these stuff, they're like, ooh, why do you think the American media turns a blind eye to this? Maybe because they own it. And I'm like, okay, motherfucker, Jews don't own the media, wasps do, okay? So shut the fuck up. Like, there is always going to be people that try to take advantage of these sorts of things. And ultimately, the reality on the ground is unchanging, and the opinion of our governments are unchanging on the what do you call it? The way that we turn a blind eye to one side of the atrocities and also completely justify the reaction that the state engages in. But yes, I do think that could lead to. I do think that is anti-Semitic, and that will lead to anti-Semitic sentiment spreading. It is completely unacceptable, and it should never be normalized. And it should be fought against.
That's all I'm trying to do.
That is not what that is not what being a defender of Palestine is about.
Right.
That is not what being a defender of the emancipation of all people is about. It's completely ridiculous.
And so this is one more. This happened in Brighton in England. I'll just play it real fast. Another rally.
There's gonna be. It's like that dude who like. There's some random fucking guy who Googled swastika and like pointed it at
I'm not showing that one because that one's silly. It's just
no, I know, but my point is this, right? There are always in every fucking in every kind of protest, there are going to be charlatans, clowns. What matters is not necessarily like the BLM protesters that are saying fucking kill all white people. When you find them in a fucking BLM protest, what matters is like the actual action that the state is taking. So that's why I never, for even a singular moment, am ever going to hear the calls of like the ethnic cleansing from like random Kahanis on the ground celebrating Israel's actions against Gaza and be like, wow, this is truly important, because I know that their opinion on the matter is inconsequential.
It's not like this is true,
but
I'm
it's
not
also
making a
policy.
I'm not making like a mountain out of it. I'm just saying that it's fucking gross. And I mean, do you deny that there's at least there are a lot of people that believe this shit? There are.
Of course, anti-Semitism is certainly a major issue.
And I think it's important to make a good effort to separate the issues.
Yes, I do agree with you, and I do that all the time. But like I said, the reason why I look at this and consider it to be utterly unproductive is because having random charlatans and people who have violent opinions.
Yeah, I mean, these are well-attended rallies.
But I know.
Yeah, and organizers.
But this does not reflect upon, again, the situation on the ground. It does not reflect on people who are defending.
You know what? I'll say this. I agree.
Okay.
I agree with you.
So
we don't even need to argue about it. I agree.
I have to pee again. God damn it.
Right. I'm getting too defensive. I agree with you.
And I don't know why I'm like, why I have to, I don't know why I'm going through each individual protest to be like, this is bad.
Well,
this is bad.
Right. Well, we just did it with the,
what?
With the, the genocidal monsters who are calling for the death of,
Yeah, we glanced through it, and my point there wasn't necessarily to be like, this is the opinion of these guys and their moving policy. I know that their opinion doesn't matter because the policy is already set. The policy reflects what they're saying. I even told you they're comfortable saying those things because there's no punishment that I even expect them to withstand for those statements, because I don't care about their statements. I don't care about the public opinion in that regard. I care more about the actions of governments and what the media is doing. And I think everything that you've shown me thus far is subject to a role reversal that literally is the reality. A role reversal that is actually demonstrably what the media is pumping out.
That's what I agree with, and I've shown both sides, and I just don't understand the insistence that it just doesn't matter because the other side is doing it. It's like, I don't know, man. Here. I mean, this.
For me, yesterday was a victory. As a Palestinian, yesterday was a victory. For freedom fighters in Gaza to break out of a 15-year blockade so successfully under the inhumane genocide from Israel was so beautiful and inspiring to see. It shows us as Palestinians, and it shows the world as us from Palestinians, that we will always fight and we will always resist, and we need to celebrate these acts of resistance because this is a success.
Yeah, and again, this
like
is
so she's saying this is an act of resistance. This is like it's happening while this is like on October 7th or October 8th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's like a displaced Palestinian woman.
Yeah. So she said the mass murder of civilians is inspiring and beautiful. She said that.
Okay.
And then she also said,
didn't you originally maintain the position that like, yeah, displaced Palestinians are going to have they're going to say things that in the heat of the moment are impassioned and oftentimes not empathetic to the civilian casualties on the other side? I mean, it's just. That's what
the
you're
point is
watching.
that people see this stuff and it matters. Especially, you know who it really matters to is like, you know, the demons that fucking want to actually kill the Palestinians, because this is like the perfect, you know, ammunition.
Well, don't you feel like you're also serving their purpose then when you endlessly talk about the
First of all, not endlessly talking.
not endlessly, but like
videos.
showing this and like parading all of this. I think that.
Well, first of all, it's a political show. We're talking about all this stuff.
I agree.
And you know, I'm just showing what I've seen that bothers me.
I understand.
Does it help the conservative apparatus? I don't think me watching this now. I mean, these videos are all super viral. I didn't dig this out and put it out into the world.
I know. You know why they're super viral? Because of the things that you mentioned.
Shocking.
Yes. No, the reason why they're super viral is because you're right. It does help present all Palestinians.
I think it's super viral because it's
those
shocking.
who are demanding emancipation for Palestinians in a negative light by appealing to the understandable human emotions of saying like these are dead babies. You reflect that and you
Beautiful,
show
inspiring.
you're celebrating dead babies. You think that that's a revolutionary act. It's gross and it's disgusting.
Okay.
Right? So that's the major reason as to why these videos get played all the fucking time, and the role reversal of said videos is reflected as current existing policy in both the United States and also in Israel.
I think
it's so much so that they don't even show in America Israelis who are literally pushing back against the administration and say that the violence is caused directly by the Israeli administration's positions. Like, that's how fucking bloodthirsty we are here in the Western world. It is like the condemnations only work in one direction, and I have done it over and over and over again, and I will continue to do so if presented with this kind of thing. But the reason why I think this is an unserious or frivolous conversation to be had is because of rallies being conducted, ultimately not yielding any sort of serious results in general, and certainly not on behalf of Palestinians. If you look at the 75 years of brutal occupation.
right.
Like, and I don't think Palestinians on the ground give a shit either, for the record. Like, they don't, like, this is not going to, if this footage did not exist.
It is going
if this
viral because
rally-
it is shocking, though.
Yes, if this rally did not exist, like, would one singular baby not be obliterated in the Gaza Strip? No. So I don't have I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Or if more, if more
stuff
rallies
matters,
existed on the other side of people, because there's tons of counter protesters.
I disagree.
Like, the first footage that you showed were literally counter protesters of a rally where people were talking
Which
about
one?
solidarity with Palestine. Remember the Kahanas guy who was like, obliterate all the Jews that we move past, because I think it's frivolous and inconsequential in the grand scheme of things, because the American government is going to do what it's going to do and Israel is going to do what it's going to do regardless of whatever people fucking say on the ground. And that the overarching consensus view on the Palestinian front, due to things like this being highlighted and not necessarily the voice of activists who do not say things like this, is already entirely and deliberately on behalf of like all Palestinians being terrorists. It's just, this is why I say it's unproductive, because there is no one who is being promoted in mainstream media as like a good voice for Palestinian people, and those who do actually say, I condemn the violence, but here is the reality of why this violence occurred.
They weren't all Palestinians that I showed, but listen.
No, I know.
I understand.
But you understand what I'm saying,
yeah,
right? Like, this is a deliberate way in which you look at.
But I also think that this
person or different rallies, and you cast a negative light on the entire Palestinian liberation movement.
That's
not saying you're doing that.
That's why it matters. Like,
I know, but it's
all matters.
It's optics. It's an optics conversation, and in the grand scheme of things, having an optics conversation about like, oh, I can't believe they said this. Look at how violent they are, while simultaneously, well,
I'm not they. This, you know what I mean? Like, I know what you're saying.
Okay, how
but it
violent
feels personal
these specific individuals are, but like, at a certain point, this doesn't serve any other purpose than, you know, what Ben Shapiro would do, to be like, look at how violent they are. And that is the mechanism of manufacturing consent working in unison. Yes, there are people that say condemnable shit. This does not change my mind on Palestinian emancipation, and it should not change your mind.
No.
If you're watching at home, I know it doesn't change your mind.
But it probably does have an influence on people being more hateful, more dehumanizing to Israelis, and in some extreme cases, anti-Semitic.
Ethan, when you see a video, you're in support of Black Lives Matter.
She says we need to celebrate these acts of resistance.
You're in support of Black Lives Matter, right? You're in support of Black Lives Matter as a movement in general. You are. I mean, I know you are.
Okay.
I mean, come on. When you see videos when right-wingers in America present videos of Black Lives Matter supporters and activists and even leaders saying, you know, that cop died and it was good that that cop died, and they show that and go, look at the situation. These guys are all violent. They all want to fucking kill cops. They all want to kill white people. They show wanton and callous indifference to the death of whites in general. When they show footage like that, does that change your perspective? Do you also think...
Not mine, but maybe some's.
Okay, it changes some people's perspectives. Do you think that those videos or the weaponization of those videos is what serves a purpose in changing people's minds, in propagandizing them against Black Lives Matter?
Yeah, it's part of why it matters.
No, do you think it's the singular act itself, or is it the propagandizing of and the weaponization of those videos that serve a purpose in you know, creating anti BLM sentiment?
I don't think it's, you know, BLM. You're talking about different situations. I don't even know.
What do you mean?
I don't know if it's comparable. I mean, we're talking
Palestinian
about
emancipation.
I mean, they're like, hold on. And BLM, we're talking about like riots. We're talking about like breaking into buildings. In Israel, we're talking about murdering 1,500 people, decapitating babies, burning families alive. That she called beautiful. We need to celebrate. So the severity of it is not the same.
Okay. Black Lives Matter is an emancipatory movement to stop the disproportionate killing and targeting and stop the disproportionate killing and targeting of black people in the hands of the police. Right? Under a white supremacist criminal justice system, these issues have gone unnoticed for far too long. Palestinian liberation is identical as far as the struggle goes, which is extended beyond the treatment of black people under a white supremacist police force, but literally is a legalized apartheid structure. Okay? So these are both emancipatory causes. Do you think that when people bring up random footage of like Black Lives Matter activists, or even the Hamas thing, the BLM, the BLM Chicago account that's like unaffiliated with anything, posting a photo of the Hamas parachuters, right, and saying this is Palestinian emancipation. Do you think that when people do that, they're doing that because they genuinely think like, oh, we need to clean up our message here? Us BLM supporters, we need to clean up our message here.
I think it's more about like influencing not just the people who are there, but also the people who constantly see this kind of language and think that that's the language of like of the resistance, or that's the way that we should be talking about this.
Okay. So the more positive situation in that regard, if you were faced with that, if you were faced with someone showing you this kind of footage, and you as a supporter of Black Lives Matter, you would say, yeah, this is silly, this is ridiculous, right? Like, yeah, it's bad, but also this is not what is reflective of the actual modus operandi of the movement in and of itself, and their cause is just.
I think, I don't know if we're getting lost in the woods a little bit, because I agree with you in that it's not an accurate representation of like the people as a whole. It just bothered me, and I wanted to call it out.
Okay, but you understand why like it can be, not saying you're doing this, but it can be used to effectively propagandize and neuter any kind of emancipatory movement.
Yeah, of course.
Okay, good. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You're not doing this because you do, I think, I know you are empathetic to Palestinians and their plight. However, many people in the media that are significantly more powerful and more influential than you and I combined times 10 are doing exactly what you just showed me, showing footage of this round the clock, and effectively radicalizing people against the Palestinians and the Palestinian position when an endless bombing campaign has currently taken the lives of more than 500 children, more than 500 children in Gaza. This is why I find this conversation to be utterly and entirely unproductive, especially because we are an independent media outlet in comparison to the sea of mainstream media conversations that are being had on exactly this issue. I understand where you're coming from when you are afraid, as a Jew, in America about the possible anti-Semitic, the rise in anti-Semitism. Of course, your co-host, myself, and many other people I love are we are seen as Muslim regardless of what our position is, and Islamophobia is also ever present. So I am sympathetic to your fears on multiple different avenues. However, this is why I think it's a conversation that's being had all over the media. I don't know why we spend any additional time on it here, because it does have a intentional or unintentional way of casting a negative light on the emancipatory struggle of Palestinians, especially in the West.
Right, but I mean, it still is happening though. So, like, should we not show it because it makes them look bad?
I think it's fine to show it and say this. I think it's unacceptable, and I think optically speaking, this is not something that should happen.
But also do basically what you're saying.
But also do it in the framework of like recognizing the overwhelming amount of media in the opposite direction that is the regular everyday
just to be
media
clear,
coverage.
We did spend the first 2.5 hours doing just that.
No, I know. I know. But we talked more so about the real issues on the ground in the first 2.5 hours. Now we're talking about the optics. Yeah. Now we're talking about the optics and how certain things are received in the West. And if we're going to have a conversation about like media narratives or how certain things are received in the West and optics, then that's an entirely different conversation that is devoid of
all right. Listen, I see what you're saying.
What's going on the ground.
Think, yet again, we're basically in agreement. There's one more thing. I know this is fucking insane. This is the longest episode ever. It's already 3.5 hours, so thank you for staying.
Half the crew's left.
Are you serious?
I'm exaggerating.
I didn't even.
Some people had to go.
Yeah. There's one more thing that as is a dual citizen Israeli, as someone who knows a lot of Israelis, and by the way, knows all the horrible things that the IDF does. After I saw you say this, I was quite shocked because I hadn't heard that. And in my research, looking for it,
I have to pee.
Go ahead, I'll wait for you.
Can you play that?
No, well, I'll wait for you because I want you to see it. Go ahead. I'll wait. I'll talk to Dan.
Hey, what's up? Can we talk about the Taylor Swift movie yet? Because we're 3.5 hours in. I feel like we're running out of time. We're not going to get to it.
Oh, it's a movie.
It's a lot more than just a movie. You're underselling.
Are you kidding me?
Did you not read the write-up I sent you last night?
It's an experience of a lifetime.
Eras.
I sent you a 13-page document that I spent all night on this morning, and you didn't even look at it, did you?
Is it in IMAX 4D?
God, I'm not answering that for you. You do your own.
Read it.
You
now
figure
you're
it
really
out.
screwed.
I'm so upset.
Why aren't we talking about the important things? Kidding.
Do you think that it is in IMAX 4D though?
Of course.
You can feel her
I
spit.
damn hope so.
The 4D experience. Oh God. Can while we're waiting for Hasan to come back, can I just play this banger Trump?
Yeah.
Totally unrelated
Good
to
idea.
anything.
Good idea.
Doesn't have anything to do with Israel, but very important nonetheless.
And I'm glad it's such because this is the worst microphone
Quiet.
I think
Oh,
I've ever
let me turn it.
I hope you can hear me back there.
Oh, you couldn't hear it. See, his
And I'm glad
microphone's
it's such, because this is the worst microphone I think I've ever had. I hope you can hear me back there. Justin, don't pay the bill for this mic. I'm blowing out
Don't
my
pay
voice
the
talking
bills
to
of
this
this
stupid mic. This is the worst mic I've ever had. Okay, now we'll
He
get back to
sounds
the
fine.
speech. I'm trying to
totally
get
fine.
their attention. Turn up the mic.
Turn off that mic.
It sounds fine.
Is it okay?
Hila, what's up? Something?
I had
And then I don't
Okay.
pay a bill and they say Trump
Oh, do I want a
doesn't pay
coffee?
his
Fuck yeah.
contractors.
Thanks,
fuck
early.
yeah.
I love when Hila asks me if I want a coffee because it's like, let's go. Or it's a coffee time. Let's do coffee.
I want to say, actually, because we have a moment here, this has been really emotional, and it's just really nice to see both sides being able to talk and have a civil conversation.
I agree.
And educate each other. I've learned stuff from what
I
Hasan
learned
talked
stuff.
about
No
today.
question about it. Actually, yeah, I definitely feel like I was moved in ways that I didn't expect.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And I hope that people see, and I hope the audience agrees and doesn't ascend into dumb fucking.
No, well, obviously we had the chat off, but we do have our members Discord, and I've been monitoring that for the discussion that's been going on, and yeah, I think there's a lot of appreciation for the conversations that have been had today. In fact, there's so much appreciation that we just ticked over to 2
Really?
point.
People
We're
are
H
subbing?
H2.94, baby.
Wow.
We're almost back to H3. We're almost back to H3.
Well, 60,000's a lot at this pace.
Yeah,
What
but
were we talking about?
So Hila was just saying, first of all, that she appreciates that we're able to have this conversation, and I was saying that I've definitely been moved in ways that I didn't expect in having this conversation. And further, I said that I hope that people. It's a hard conversation to have, and I don't think a lot of people are sitting down and doing it in this way. And I respect you, immensely. And I really appreciate that we can do this. And I hope that people in the comments don't descend into dumb fucking name calling and that actually can just like be civil like we've been, if you're, you know what I mean? Okay, here's the last thing, Hasan.
All right.
If you're ready.
No, I'm ready.
Okay.
Holy shit, it's 2 p.m.
Sorry, bro.
It's all good.
It's definitely going longer than I thought. But so I saw this and my first thought was like, that's horrible. But I couldn't really find a lot of evidence to back it up. And like, well, let me play the clip.
I saw on the news today a guy who lives in Gaza said that Israelis are raping Palestinian women. Yes. Israelis raping Palestinian women is a well-documented part of Israelis' apartheid apparatus. So that part is not, that part, of course, comes with a...
Anyway, that's the heart and soul. I mean, I don't necessarily have to...
There is a...
I don't have to watch the rest because
there's a gag order on that was recently released on an Israeli soldier that had
right here.
Raped a Palestinian woman, and this kind of there it is. The IDF removed the gag order in 2016.
He was arrested.
Yeah,
and he was publicly shamed. How is this systemic rape as part of the institution of Israel?
The same concept exists in the American police force, where any kind of sexual act under the coercive institutions of like being incarcerated is understandably and also technically and morally considered sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
There are reports of Palestinian women in captivity.
Oh shit.
Talking about that experience.
So let's see. I found one of the sources. I saw you like this tweet by this squirrel guy. So I just looked into
Zay Squirrel.
Yeah. So I just looked into all the sources he posted because I was genuinely curious to know if that was true. And I mean, well, so besides that article I just pulled up, which is like the one really prominent example I could find of an Israeli guard raping a Palestinian. And again, he was arrested. and publicly named. But the other one, one of the ones that you quoted was like, I don't even know what the fuck this is. Care.com. It's literally just like a little blurb. Palestinian females freed from Israeli detention said more than 15 fellow Palestinian women were raped by Israeli interrogators to force them to confess to charges leveled against them and collaborate with the Israeli intelligence. Quote, Israeli investigators and intelligence officers keep videotapes of raping to blackmail the female detainees. She told IslamOnline.net, which is another website. So according to, I guess, this website, which I then went to, which just doesn't...
Oh, well, that's not going to be too helpful to you, is it?
Well, I translated it.
You can translate it.
Yeah, but like it just, I don't understand. This doesn't seem like super credible, at least, or I mean, it might be credible.
Do you have an issue with CARE or Islam.net or the...
Well, what is this?
The lack of...
I mean, listen, that's a huge claim. 15 Palestinian women were raped.
Mm-hmm.
I was sexually abused in photographs, she said. But like, what? I don't know what this is. What is this?
What do you mean?
Is this a source?
You're asking if it's credible.
Yeah. Yes, CARE is credible. I think, at least.
What is
CARE is? CARE is
There's no source. There's like nothing here. Like shit. I mean, that's a pretty extraordinary claim. I mean, fuck. Like it's serious to say that the Israeli apparatus is using rape systemically to oppress the Palestinians.
I think it's
and
one of
there's so many horrible things happening.
I think it's one of the many things that happens under institutionalization, and it happens in America as well, regardless of the same amount of care and consideration being given to those who are incarcerated in America. It's a similar concept. The CARE is the Council on American Islamic Relations, by the way.
Okay.
My dad's part of CARE, the Michigan chapter.
We love CARE.
There you go.
My only problem is that there's like literally no source to this.
I agree that doesn't seem the best. That information is not presented in a very clear way.
But because you're the dude that posted this, that you liked his tweet, used this as a source, and I don't know what this is. It just doesn't seem very. I mean, I don't.
Well, you didn't know what CARE was.
I didn't know what CARE was, but like,
right.
I just came to this. I just typed in the headline that I saw,
right,
and I got to this page, and I tried to do more research about Israeli guards raping Palestinians. I found like another. Let's see. There's a tiny. Oh no, not this. Frankly, there wasn't much else other than like sporadic, isolated, unconfirmed, kind of nebulous accusations. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen. I'm just saying like this one article is the only real significant one that I could find. And the dude was arrested.
They do have, yes. I think one of the reasons as to why it is not as widely reported on is gag orders. You can remove them from time to time like it happened here. But
there's no evidence for that I'm aware of.
It's not incredibly it's not as incredibly well documented as some of the other things that Amnesty International has access to on the ground.
Okay. It's just I don't know. It rubbed me wrong a little bit because it's just a big claim to make, and I don't know. Like I'm not saying it's not true because the IDF is horrible and they do horrible things, but like it's a special kind of evil the way that you describe it that once again I think dehumanizes the Israelis.
Today a guy who lives in Gaza said that Israelis are raping Palestinian women,
and his sources, a guy in Gaza said this, which again I just want like one reputable source.
Israelis raping Palestinian women is a well documented part of Israel's apartheid apparatus, so that part is not
well documented. Isn't true.
Yes. No. I think You're absolutely right. I think I should have used my words more carefully when saying that. It's a comment in passing, and that does have serious impact. I agree with you.
Okay, thank you.
I think that the partnering of the instance that you just showed, on top of the gag order, on top of the treatment of institutionalized people in general, and the sexual violence that they are subjected to that is considered legal in both America and everywhere else due to a lack of getting adequate adequate coverage to their issues.
Your point is that and the incarcerated are abused.
On top of that, and on top of that, one thing that is not technically sexual violence, but coercion of a different magnitude is for example, gay Palestinians being blackmailed specifically to become sources of information.
I haven't read about that.
And things of that nature that still would be factored under that. You're right, though. I should have chosen my words more carefully.
Right, and listen,
and there is. I will present you more information on that as well.
Well, what does that mean?
Like I'll
look into
come
it.
back with more information for you.
And again, like everything you're super credible. It was just this one thing. It just rubbed me a little bit wrong. And like, listen, that's it. But I appreciate that you.
No, you're.
Thanks.
I think that's fair.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate you saying that. That was basically that was. Of all the things you said, that was the one thing that I was like, I don't know about that. So I'm glad that we talked about that. The other things I don't know if you want to talk about was my spat with your friends, which at this point I'm like just fully apologetic towards them, after talking about it and really, I don't know. I got more of an emotional insight.
No, it's understandable
from you today. That impacted me. And even though, I felt provoked, I understand why, if in my opinion, they're not using the most delicate language because they're fucking angry and pissed. You know what I mean? And so like, I need to be more charitable, I think, and less reactive because their pain is valid. And I need to acknowledge that and, be more forgiving of less delicate language.
Well, I'll get back to you with more information on the documentation on rapes under incarceration.
Okay.
Because there are more studies.
Okay.
That. I mean, there is more.
Well, great. I mean, that'll be nice. We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Yeah. Specifically, this.
Can I make one point on that?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. Rape under incarceration in a carceral structure in general is very difficult to study and document. The fact that doing so inside of an apartheid structure makes it even more difficult to document. And even then, there are still obviously witness testimonies that you can rely on in situations like this. I mean, okay, well, I'll
like the care thing was the only thing I could find.
There's definitely more. Ethan, that's
then
it's an inevitability that it happens. Basically, it's not. Like
I'm not saying it doesn't
not
happen,
correct,
bro. I'm just saying, like, I just want to know more. I just want a reliable source, and I just don't know what this is.
It's almost all on testimonials from Palestinian women, and that's it's not exactly. It's not exactly considered to be.
I'm not even finding the accusations, though.
Okay.
Like, I'm not even calling women liars or something. I want to make that clear. Like, I'm not saying, like, they're lying. I can't even find the accusations to read. I mean, this is the only one, and it doesn't even say who's talking or who they're quoting or anything. I mean,
okay.
It's just nothing. But, like, I'm open to the conversation, of course. And if that's what's happening, I think it does need to be talked about. That's all.
Men as well, not just women.
No,
okay.
I understand that men can also be raped and sexually assaulted, of course. I mean, that's something that I did read, which I consider just kind of sporadic and nebulous because it was just hard to pin down a systemic thing that I could point to. Was just like, dudes were being like, penetrated with foreign objects. I mean, obviously that is also rape.
Yes.
Horrible.
Okay, good.
Torture.
All right. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in short, in closing, this dude, Mohammed, I mean, again, I apologize too. And Frogan, I apologize too. Is that how you say it?
Frogan is a foot soldier and has been been a longtime fan of yours. You know, there are going to be other foot soldiers who are also of a Muslim background that may have said things that would upset you.
Right.
And that's something to consider when, reacting to them.
You're right. I think
that's what I was trying to say when on the phone.
Less reactive, more charitable, and understanding, their reasonable and warranted anger at Israel.
Oh my God.
That's it. That's everything.
All right, perfect.